Project Ripcord, a Vietnam fire support base in 1/72nd scale. The AMPS Central South Carolina Wildcats chapter was approached by the South Carolina Confederate Relic Room and Military Museum in late 2017, with a proposal to construct a diorama of a Vietnam fire support base. After putting the question to the chapter membership, we decided to accept the job. The project consisted of several distinct phases, each posing numerous challenges. The first challenge was the mere size and scope of the diorama. The museum dictated a diorama of fire support base Ripcord in 1/72nd scale, 1 inch equals 6 feet. For several reasons, it was decided to depict a good portion of the hill below the actual base, to give the lay person an idea of just how remote the base was, and to illustrate that there were no roads in and out. We also decided to size the piece to common building material sizes for convenience. Since most sheet lumber is usually available in 4 feet by 8 feet sheets, we set the size at 8 feet by 12 feet. Construction of the base began with a wood frame, fabricated from 1 inch by 6 inches dimensional lumber. Corners were reinforced with plywood gussets, and the frame was reinforced with L-beams, attached between the long sides to add stiffness. 2 inches by 4 inches uprights were fitted at the middle and one end of the frame, to aid in holding the foam sheeting upright, as the hill grew vertically. The other end of the hill was much lower in contour, so these uprights were not needed. The center uprights were also needed to attach the plywood sides added later. We had obtained a contour map of the hill, and using a computer and a projector, we were able to project the map onto 4 feet by 8 feet sheets of 1 inch thick pink insulation foam held vertically in a purpose-built frame. Since each layer of foam would represent 6 feet of elevation, we interpolated the intermediate contours between the 20-meter lines on the map. Once we had our contours correct, or as close as we could reasonably get them, they were traced onto the sheets of foam. The contours were cut out, and the layers were built up, wedding cake style, on the frame, using foam-safe construction adhesive. The centers of the sheets of foam were removed, which gave us a hollow hill. We wanted to make the mountain as light as possible. We were also able to conserve material by doing this. As we built the mountain, we made adjustments to the contour based on our interpretation of the contour map as compared to actual photos of the fire base. Photographs of the whole base are rare due to the near-total lack of media coverage. The majority of the photos available were taken by the soldiers on Ripcord at the time, and they had other things on their mind than to preserve the base in perpetuity via photographs. We built the upper 1/3 of the mountain as a separate module to make the final placement of the firing positions, howitzers, bunkers, and other items easier. Once all the pink foam was stacked, we carved the hill to shape. Minor contours and contour corrections were done with great stuff expanding foam. The easiest method we found to cut the various layers of foam was with hacksaw blades, followed by a light once-over with a brass wire brush. A belt sander and palm sander would also be employed to grind the foam to the proper contour. While the shaping was going on, we made a barrier from poster board and added great stuff to the bottom side of the barrier to fair the top module into the base. This would later become the key to aligning the top when it came time to assemble the two modules. As the final shape of the hill was approached, the sides of the diorama were clad in 5 mm thick sheets of Luan plywood. These were screwed into the wood frame and glued to the foam sides of the hill. Once the adhesive had dried, great stuff was injected into any gaps between the foam and plywood, allowed to cure, and then trimmed and sanded to shape. The seams between the plywood sheets were filled with Durham's rock hard water putty, sanded when dry, and the sides were given 2 coats of satin black latex paint. We would continue to compare the diorama to our photos throughout the process. As new images came to light, we would re-evaluate our work and make minor corrections until we were satisfied that we had things right.